Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order. We're going to go ahead and enter executive session here in a minute, but the city council will now meet in executive session to review the performance of a public employee pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101G. The council will meet in executive session until 5 p.m. and the city council is not expected to take further action following the executive session. We'll be The city council has ended its executive session under RCW 42.301101G, and we'll go ahead and move straight into an executive session to discuss the qualifications of a candidate for appointment to elective office pursuant to RCW 42.301101H, and will be an executive session until 5:45. And the council is expected to take final action in a council meeting scheduled to begin at 6 p.m. All right, council has ended its executive session under RCW 42.3011018H, and we will take final action at our regularly scheduled meeting at 6 p.m. All right, I'll call this meeting of the Sequim City Council to order. If everybody could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item 3, new councilor selection, City Clerk.
All right, I'm going to review the process for council members and for members of the public and candidates. I will open the nomination period shortly. Council members will be recognized by the clerk before making a nominations, and nominations do not require a second. Each council member may nominate one person. The clerk will call for nominations 3 times before closing the nomination period. A nominee who wishes to decline the nomination must do so immediately after the nomination period is closed. The clerk will then take a vote on each candidate nominated in the order in which they were nominated. Council members will raise their hand in order to cast a yes vote. Council members can only vote for one candidate, and abstentions are not permitted. The candidate who receives a simple majority vote will be appointed. If after a first round of voting, no candidate receives a majority, the top 2 vote getters will then be voted on for a runoff. In the instance that the top 2 are not clear, a second round of voting will be held with all candidates. And after 3 rounds of if voting, no one is appointed, the council may by motion direct the city clerk to take any necessary action, such as opening an additional application period.
And again, after the member is sworn in, we'll take a 10-minute recess.
All right, I'm calling for nominations. Councilor Butler.
I want to say thank you to such a deep pool of applicants. It's very gratifying to see so many people interested in serving in this position, and grateful for putting yourselves out there for this process. I'd like to use this opportunity to nominate Kelly Berger.
Deputy Mayor Anderson.
I nominate Pete Templin.
Are there any other nominations this evening? Any further nominations? And last call for nominations. All right. Votes for Kelly Berger. Please raise your hand. And votes for Pete Templin. All right. Kelly Berger is our new appointed council member. Kelly, will you please join us up here for the oath of office? I, Kelly Berger,
I, Kelly Berger,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I am a citizen of the United States
that I am a citizen of the United States
and the state of Washington,
and the state of Washington,
that I am legally qualified
that I am legally qualified
to assume the office
to assume the office
of City of Sequim Council Position Number 1,
of City of Sequim Council Position Number 1,
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the state of Washington,
and the state of Washington,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of this office
discharge the duties of this office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
All right, we're at recess.
What's the process with I'm not choosing, but I was like, first counts. Item change. Yeah, I was trying to pick like the one that shows them, and I'll show you that another time.
Most recent Park Arbor and Rec Board meeting.
Call us back to order.
Yep.
And if the city clerk could please take roll call.
Counselor Kelly Berger.
Here.
Oops.
Here.
Counselor Dan Butler.
Here.
Counselor Vicky Lowe.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Rachel Anderson.
Present.
Mayor Brandon Janice.
Present.
Counselor Harmony Rudder.
Here.
Counselor Nicole Hartman.
Here.
Is there any changes to the final agenda?
I move we approve the final agenda.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Anything further? Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. All right, item 6 is ceremonial, Black History Month proclamation. This will be read by Councilor Lowe.
Thank you. Whereas America is a work in progress, continually striving to be the land of liberty and justice for all, and whereas the 350 years long history of trafficking Africans to America for the purpose of enslaving them is a stain on those ideals, whereas beginning with the Emancipation Proclamation issued in January 1863, America has struggled to reconcile that stain. Whereas African Americans have given their lives to serve and protect the Constitution, and whereas the legacy of enslavement created a one-dimensional narrative of the history of African American contributions to American history. And whereas Carter G. Woodson was a scholar whose dedication to celebrating the historic contributions of Black people led President Gerald Ford to establish Black History Month in the bicentennial year of 1976, and celebrated for February since then. President Ford called upon Americans to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. Whereas we honor the struggle and efforts of Black people in our country who have led efforts to bring about equity and justice, not only for their communities, but for all marginalized people, including ensuring voting rights for those who had been historically excluded, desegregation, the right to marry whoever you love, regardless of their skin, the color of their skin, LGBTQ plus rights, disability rights, women's rights, healthcare advocacy and reform. Whereas the Black Panthers set up the model for school nutrition programs and community medicine and paramedicine. They helped create other national liberation movements that progressed the living conditions of their respective communities, such as the Young Lords, Brown Berets, Young Patriots, and the American Indian Movement. To this day, the Black community is a leader in our nation's work on transforming this nation's policing and incarceration systems and diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging work on all levels of business, society, and now therefore, Brandon Janice, Mayor of City of Sequim, call upon all citizens in Sequim to recognize February 2025 as Black History Month. Signed on February 10th, 2025, Mayor Brandon Janice. And Mr. Brown, do you want to come up and accept this? Gotta get real close to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank the city of Sequim, citizens of Sequim, and especially Vicki Lowe for inviting me for a second year to accept this proclamation for the city of Sequim for Black History Month. It's a very important month for me, being a child who was born to two activists in 1965 in New York. And my life is a testament to Black history itself. In the 70s, I was a child I was part of the integration movement of the 70s in New York. And so I actually participated in that. And my life and everything that I'm about comes from the folks who came before me. So this is a very important, and the fact that last year, I believe it was the first one in the city of Sequim's history. So I felt very honored to be a part of that. That's like being immortalized in a way. So again, thank you for inviting me once again. Again, Black history is American history, just as Indigenous history, Latino history, Asian history, we're all part of the same fabric of America. And so I want to thank you. Thank you.
All right, item 7, public comment.
For individuals attending in person, please take a moment to silence your cell phones. I will collect the public comment sign-in sheet shortly. If you wish to comment, please sign up now if you have not already done so. No one has signed up for remote public comment. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak on any topic, and there will be a timer visible on the screen. A total of 30 minutes or 10 speakers will be permitted for comments. Please state your name if you are representing an organization and your city of residence.
All right, this is a limited public forum. Individuals providing public comment must not disrupt or otherwise impede the orderly conduct of the meeting. And this is not a forum for hate speech. The city of Sequim supports the public's First Amendment right to free speech, but it does not support hate speech. And speakers are expected to be courteous and refrain from making hateful comments, sounds, or remarks. And any offensive words and conduct shared by the public do not reflect the city's values. And the city of Sequim stands firm in its commitment to being an inclusive community and rejects discrimination of any kind.
Our first in-person comment is Jean Pratchner.
Jean Pratchner, and I'm a citizen in Sequim for around 10 years. When I first moved here, I noticed there were a lot of cold people living on the street in Sequim, and it broke my heart. And I immediately set about starting the Sequim Warming Center, which was a success. We saw 10 to 15 to 20 people a night. It was run at the Serenity House office at that time. 2 years later, it was all volunteers. 2 years later, OLECAP took it over, and now it's over at St. Luke's Church. And that's why I'm here today, because I have a little problem with the way they're handling it. I look at the temperature. Their criteria for opening is lower than 36 degrees every night. So I'm on the NOAA site, and I'm checking temperatures because I noticed they were not being open when they should have been by the temperature that they profess to look at. So I kept track every single night. They decide by 10 a.m. if they're going to open, and they hang out a sign if they're going to open. So I also check at 6 p.m., 9 p.m., and 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. the NOAA temperatures. This is the federal NOAA site that's right near Sequim and part of Sequim's landscape. So I've considered that fairly accurate. So I made a data chart, and my findings were correct that they weren't open when they're supposed to be open. And I know this isn't a city problem, this is an OLECAP problem, but my point is going to be shown to you. My count is that they were only open from October through January, half the time that they were supposed to be open. There were some very, very cold nights there, and they were closed. The dates, times, and everything's on here. I have a copy for anybody that wants to look at the data. My point in coming to the city is there a way, I'm begging you, is there a way that you could partner with OLECAP? These are citizens of Sequim. These are not vagabonds that come and go and come and go. These are people that grew up in high school here and are living here and some of them work, and they're really nice people. I go out and see them every day. I give them jackets, coats, warm sleeping bags. I've handed out over 57 jackets to cold people in this town since October. So there's a lot of people out there that need your help. These are Sequim people. These are not strangers or aliens or something. They need our help to find a warm place to survive. Some of these people are ice cold. They have blisters on their hands from frostbite. They're starving, and they don't know where to go. They walk a mile or two. Some have walked from Carlsberg, and the center isn't open when they should have been. And they have no place to go, and no blanket, and no food. This is not right. We shouldn't treat our citizens this way. So please consider helping OLECAP to do a better job. Thank you. God bless. Anybody want a paper?
Janelle Wiley. Okay, that concludes public comment.
All right, thank you. All right. Next up, item 8, public hearing. And before we open the public hearing, the clerk will read some comments.
Actually, no one has signed up for remote public comment and no one has signed up for in-person comment tonight.
Okay. All right, the subject of this public hearing is the 2025 through 2030 Transportation Improvement Program modification. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing and turn it over to staff.
Good evening, City Council. At this time, I have no additional information to provide to you beyond what was in the previous council meeting and what is in the agenda cover. Just to reassure you that as soon as this gets adopted into our TIP, our next deadline for submittal to the state is the 21st of February, and we plan on getting this project on there as soon as possible to be able to move forward, acquiring a consultant to start the design work. Thank you.
Just want to give a quick overview for our newest councilor.
Oh, absolutely. Congratulations, by the way. So what's in front of you or in front of the council is a amendment to our transportation improvement program. The city throughout the end of last year and beginning of this year has been pursuing our local road safety plan and safety action plan. And by getting those documents adopted, we have opened up access to this funding source, Highway Safety Improvement Program. This project was further out on our transportation improvement program. And so we've now moved it into the recent years and submitted this amendment to allow us to have access to that funding to provide improvements to our pedestrian crossings and lighted traffic signals on Sequim, 3rd, and 5th. This is step 2. Step 1 was upgrading the cameras and putting in the cameras. This project will update and upgrade the components in our cabinets and our pedestrian crossing push button, so we can then purchase new hardware on a future project to put in things like dedicated left turns where they aren't now, and have better opportunity to make adjustments to our current software that monitors and tracks the traffic flow and the length of traffic signals. So just a brief overview.
Questions from council? All right, we're seeing none. Oh, Dan.
I was going to move.
Oh.
You ready for action?
And you said there was no public comment? No public comment? Okay, let's see. All right, so I'll go ahead and close the public comment portion of the hearing and move on to, let's see, is there any further council discussion? No. Seeing none, okay, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and we'll go ahead and move to council action.
Thank you. I move to adopt the modified transportation improvement plan as presented for this public hearing.
I second that motion.
All right, moving seconded. Anything further from council? Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. Thank you. Consent agenda.
The items on tonight's consent agenda are claim vouchers totaling $781,436.36. City Council meeting minutes from January 27, 2025 and February 3rd, 2025. The Code of Conduct language update, a resolution. The Lodging Tax Advisory Committee appointment, a resolution. SMC 2.20, City Advisory Bodies, a new chapter, an ordinance, and requests to waive competitive bidding process to purchase used equipment, a resolution.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second that motion.
Motion to approve the consent's been moved and seconded. Anything further? Any opposed? All right, consent's been approved. General business, Sequim Municipal Code 3.78 Code Amendment Corrections, first touch. Nick?
Okay, thank you. Again, congratulations. So a little background on this agenda cover. Currently, or not currently, previously, the owner of our maintenance bonds and other warranty bonds wasn't very clear in our code, and didn't quite line up with state statutes. Thanks to the work done by Christina and her team, we were able to get that updated and corrected. And this last change, for whatever reason, did not, it leaked through the sieve. So this is just some language updating, setting a maximum for these maintenance and warranty bonds, whereas the language previously made it seem like it was a minimum. And that's what you have before you today. And our maintenance bonds are applied to portions of capital projects and to developments for a period of 2 years or 24 months to ensure things like landscape survivability, things like replacement of curb and gutter if they get damaged, replacement of things like sewer pipe and manhole or water infrastructure in the event that something due to quality of construction in the 2 years or 24 months requires repair and replacement.
It's very straightforward. I'm ready to make a motion. I'm not hearing any questions. Okay. I move to waive the second touch on this matter and direct staff to present an ordinance on the consent agenda at the next available meeting.
I'll second that.
All right, moved and seconded. Anything further? Any opposed? All right, seeing none, that passes. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you very much.
All right, 10B, Sequim Municipal Code Amendment, City Clerk Duties and Functions.
This is another code update brought to you by the Code Scrub team and the legal department. They've gone through the municipal code and taken a look at the responsibilities and functions previously held by the clerk, and those duties are outdated. So there's proposed language updating the code in the packet for your consideration.
Also straightforward. I'm ready to make a motion. I don't see anybody with questions, but I was giving them a chance to read. Okay. I move to waive the second touch on this matter and direct staff to present an ordinance on the consent agenda for the next meeting that adopts the proposed amended code provisions.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anything further? Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
All right, Youth Liaison reports.
Good evening, council members, and congratulations. This, for the purpose of the record, this is Lincoln Forest. Recently in our school, we had Skylar Kurzwars and Victoria Nava go to state for our bowling team. Our Interact Club has started their fundraising for their Walk for Water fundraiser. Our mock trial team had their Tacoma tournament. And our senior class play is performing their upcoming play, Sequim Dorella. Please go check it out. All the proceeds go to our senior class.
School bond, for the purpose of the record, this is Layla Sandine. The bond voting will take place tomorrow, so our school's pretty, excited for the results for that. we have a 4-day weekend this weekend because of a snow day and President's Day. And then our school and boys basketball is currently playing for #1 in the league right over at the high school right now. Knowledge Bowl also has a tournament this Thursday. It's our last tournament before state. So, yeah.
When is the play, Lincoln?
It's this weekend.
This weekend?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, City Manager.
We're trying out a new system over here. Hello, hello. Okay, so it does work. All those loud noises you were getting before in the middle of your meeting was my foot kicking the wire below us that was cooked into your speaker system. So Oleg was kind enough to remove all that, but that meant we are now using a wire-free microphone.
Thank you, Oleg.
Yes, everybody always looked around like, what's happening? And I knew I just kicked the wire. Welcome, new council member. Look forward to meeting you and getting to know you better. Yes, you got a great council to join. I don't know if you all noticed, but today is National Flannel Day. Unfortunately, our public works
I did not get the memo.
I did not either. It was only the public works folks, but almost every one of them, I'm thinking, was this pajama day or how come everybody's in flannels? And of course, that was it. So just a heads up. Sorry about rambling here. I did want to mention that you should have received a city council manager report in your email today. I just wanted to highlight a couple quick things and then be open to any questions you might have. Number 1B, we had a very successful meeting with our 3 legislatures for the District 24. One-on-ones that was all arranged with DeVore, had nice handouts and flyers. This is us trying, when operations goes down there, we're down there to try to get money for capital projects here. That's the only place you can get state money. We did remind them of your all's policy priorities on the back of the sheet. And of course, your action days are coming up. But we also met with the chairs of both transportation teams and about making sure we didn't lose the SIMDARs. And the story is the same down there. It's a very tight budget. And so a different kind of feeling being in Olympia this year. Number 2A was I'm eager to have that survey reviewed with us, with our representative at ETC. Anyway, we just recently got that, but it was a really positive response. We got more responses back than they thought we would. And of course, one of the highlights, as I just quickly briefly went through it, was all of our businesses are very happy with our police department. Once again, our resident survey was the same thing. So this is, I think, the first time the businesses have ever been surveyed. And so we're kind of gleaming through all the data, and we'll put action items around anything that they suggest that makes sense for operations improvement. 3B, mostly just wanting to make you aware that Christina and Carla, our consultant in the Department of Community and Economic Development, are finalizing your retreat agenda. So that will hopefully be coming to you soon. And
I have a quick question about that.
Okay.
I just want to make sure everybody knows that it's not like a council retreat on priorities. It's more like a comp plan workshop. So I just want to make sure, does everybody understand what it's for? Just want to make sure. Okay.
If I may, excuse me, if I may, Council, Christina Nelson Gross, purposes of the record. Carla and I will be working on the agenda for the retreat, and so we'll get that out. There's some data that Clallam County has recently adopted, and some other things, some policy discussions and considerations that I think that Carla is looking to discuss with Council. So more to come on that.
Thank you for clarifying that. We've kind of chatted about that a couple times. 5A, unfortunately, I guess for the city, but good for Dennis Burnett. He is, as you know, our part-time emergency management coordinator, and he's finally decided to retire for a second. He retired from the National Parks system after, I don't know, 30 or 40 years, just retired out here, and was kind of looking for some part-time. Anyway, next month, I think is his last. So we just posted his position. Yeah, I know. He's really been great. So we posted 3 new positions today, and his is one of them. So, but he's served the city really well and been a great asset. Other than that, there's just a lot of kind of bullet points. At some point, maybe in agenda planning, I can see if this is too much data or what you want. There was some debate like, yeah, they don't need to know that. And so I went ahead and kept it fairly full. Could have made it fuller, but always interested in your guidance on that. And Vicki, you'll be pleased to see that I put key acronyms at the bottom there. In case I slip, and I did a couple things, but at least going forward, we'll always continue to try to add that so that nobody is wondering what we're talking about. So any questions I can answer for anybody?
Thanks, Matt, again for doing this each meeting. On 3E, the 2 subdivisions that's coming before a hearing examiner, where are those roughly?
Oh man, put me on the spot. I believe I can remember their names. One of them is Bella Vista, which I'm not exactly sure of the location because this was on well on its way when I came into this process. I believe, well, I don't want to say in case I'm wrong, but should be able to refer to the city's current projects webpage, which should provide more information. And the other one is the Bell Creek development. And I do know where that one is. It's up here on 3rd Avenue. So those are the 2 that are expected to go to the hearing examiner on the 27th. Both will be held that day, and the first hearing is at 10 a.m.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I'd be glad to send out an email tomorrow, making sure you know both of those and putting a link into our website that lists all the developments so you can see exactly how many units and everything about it. So let me do that tomorrow for you. Thank you very much. Always nice to meet with you.
All right, council reports.
Very briefly, the Clallam County Homelessness Task Force meeting that meets every 2 months was canceled due to snow last week, so I've got nothing to report.
At the Planning Commission meeting, the consultant, Carla, I can't remember her last name, Matt, but she provided a overview document that was really good. I'm wondering if that could get shared with council.
I believe that she plans on incorporating part of that into the retreat agenda.
Oh, perfect.
And because there will need to be some conversations around some of that data. If you saw that PowerPoint, you probably saw a reference to, I believe it was a 31% growth allocation that the county approved at the end of November. And so, you know, she will be able to provide better context and understanding of what that means and what council's options are for that. And so I believe that that is going to be her starting point, and particularly for the benefit of our new counselor here on what it means to plan under the Growth Management Act, and then talk about some of these other policy considerations. But that was definitely one of the things that we're going to incorporate.
Okay. Excellent. I look forward to that.
Just a quick update that both Vicki and I will be in Olympia next week. So if you have any fellow counselors, if there's anything that you all need from Olympia or items or priorities that you'd like us to make sure we are highlighting in addition to our already stated legislative priorities as council, just reach out to me and Vicki. Thank you very much, staff, for doing all the logistics, and I'm looking forward to to great conversation with counselors and other elected officials. Thank you.
I hadn't thought of this before, and I don't think we've done it before, but if you'd like to meet with DeVore over lunch or have some, something in the lobby or whatever you'd like, he works for us. And if, you've got his report, I think I forwarded that this morning as well. So anyway, happy to arrange that if he's available, but I trust he would be during those 2 days.
I'm also in Olympia every week, and I see DeVore every week. Usually by the deli.
All right, open council discussion.
There is one thing I wanted to bring up. So I I'm trying to think the sequence of events here. I had reached out to the PDC about changing our council rules, and I forwarded that to the clerk to forward to council for information only, but I wanted to bring it up to see if there's a council consensus, if council is open to changing the rules to specifically allow junior taxing districts to request letters of support for ballot measures.
And I was going to bring that up too, so thank you. And I think until the school came and talked to us about the bond issue, I didn't realize how much that impacts things like safe routes to school. We've been building these safe routes to school, and then the kids go to school and they're not safe there. I really enjoyed having an open campus when I was at Sequim High School, but realizing now that the world has changed and it puts our officers at risk to have that kind of open campus in case of an active shooter. So I really think that when we made the rule, I didn't understand the impacts that things like that could have on our own city assets. So I agree with Rachel that we need to look at updating the rules.
Well, and I feel like too, we're not in the middle of nowhere, but it really feels like we're out in limbo. And I know that junior taxing districts get some funding, right? But the gap has to come from citizens. And it feels like when we're out in limbo, we only have each other. And, so trying to think of ways to help support that legally is, anything that we can do to help our community.
Probably goes without saying, I'm in favor of doing this. For my benefit and the benefit of others that might be listening, can you give a couple of other examples of junior taxing districts?
Yeah, so that includes places like the fire district or possibly the library, possibly schools, possibly hospital districts, possibly, I want to say there's more, but can't think of them off the top of my head.
These all sound like things that show up on my property tax every year, and there's an extra line for each item.
Yes, and so that's why I struggle with it a lot, because anytime we bring up anything involving taxes or money, my brain goes to in this economy, and so I know that there are people struggling, but these agencies that provide services are also struggling.
I am so glad that you both brought this up. This has been kind of on my list to circle back and make sure that we were addressing our council rules to allow for those situations. I am in support also. And I think that, yes, specifically for when these particular entities request a letter of support, that we and that whatever language comes out of this process of rewriting the rules, or that section of the rules, drafting that section of the rules, not rewriting anything, but drafting that section of the rules to allow for these situations, just that we take care to define exactly what is and what's what, with guidance from the PDC, what is appropriate and what's not appropriate. And I think that we'll have a really good set of guidelines going forward to allow for community discussion on these topics inside council situations. So thank you. I really appreciate that you brought this up.
And again, I want to underline that I think it's really important that we think about when it impacts our own city assets too, and maybe that can be something we consider in the rules.
Any other comments before I make a motion? All right, I move that we direct city staff to draft a amendment to the rules to allow junior taxing districts to request letters of support following RCW 46.17a.555. I've memorized it, sorry.
Second.
Staff clear on that? Do you have any questions?
I have so far. Move to direct city staff to draft an amendment to the rules to allow junior taxing districts to request a letter of support per RCW 4217A555.
Oh, was it 42? I thought it was 46.
Hmm?
Is it 42?
42.
I thought I had it memorized. Okay. Can I add a timeline on that, actually? Is the second, by the second meeting of March, is that too soon? Is it too far away?
I think that if council intends to pass the motion as stated, I think that will be fine because you're not going to find too much refinement beyond what you've already stated here. I guess just one, as I'm trying to visualize the 4 exceptions under 555, as I recall, 2 of them are not really applicable to us, but there are 2 that are. One is the opportunity for opposition to come and speak. Is that what council wants to allow?
Yes.
Okay, so in addition, so I guess if we were to refine your amendment,
and that was the per the RCW.
It was one of 4 possible avenues.
Okay.
And so just want to be clear on that because essentially what staff will be doing is probably fleshing out something a little bit more than what is in statute under that exception. Is that acceptable?
Okay, that is acceptable, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. What was the RCW again? Could you restate that?
4217A555, and I think the exceptions, I think it's A, B, C, and D, and we would be looking at A, the one that talks about the process that we went through the other night, where we give opposing, we give equal sides, or I'm sorry, equal time to groups on both sides to discuss the matter.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing what you guys draft, and I'm sure there will be more robust discussion, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Council hasn't voted yet, so.
And I think there was a second, but then I amended to add my timeline. So can I get a second for the
Secretary's
amendment?
happy with the amendment.
Okay, thank you.
So you still want a timeline on that? Is staff okay with that? Okay. So restate your motion just one more time.
I will try to get as close as I got the first time. Okay. I move to direct staff to amend council rules to include allowing junior taxing districts to request letters of support for ballot measures per RCW 42.17a.555 by the second meeting in March.
And it was seconded by Councilor Butler. All right, anything further from council on this? Any opposed? All right, that passes. Anything further? from council?
Are we open to council discussion now? Or are we
Yeah, we're
council
still on
reports? Okay. Yes, please. Following up on the public comment by Ms. Pratchner, I'm curious if we already have a partnership with OLICAP, specifically to the warming center. That's part one of the question.
We don't have a relationship with OLICAP. I think they've come in and just, provided the service. I know our PD and others have worked closely with her over the years, and we've responded to previous emails and concerns. I couldn't pull our responses back to her off the top of my head, but I know the PD's close to that.
Well, I didn't think we did, so thank you. Have any kind of formal relationship. Is there a reason why we couldn't pursue a partnership with OLICAP that might enhance their capacity to meet the needs that were raised? Apart from the data sheet and all that, but just in terms of staffing capacity in the center itself, if that's the most appropriate facility, if the city has access to any other facilities that we could partner with OLICAP. Yeah.
Or maybe a conversation to understand the issue first. Could we meet with them?
Yeah, I'd
The
be
Warren
really
Center?
interested to
Yeah.
hear their barriers. Like,
Yeah.
why can't you be open? Is it a, volunteer? Do you need more people? Do you need more resources? Do you need, yeah.
I do think I know it's gone from volunteer to paid staff that monitor. And so there's always a funding issue, but I wonder if there's other barriers. That's really well said.
Well, and I'd be curious too, just because I volunteer a lot. I'm not saying I don't know if I could volunteer overnight, but just because there are paid staff doesn't mean there can't also be volunteers. So that being said, I would be very curious to hear their barriers.
So would you like me to arrange them to come to council, or would you like to do this off council agenda, a separate meeting with three of you or something like that?
Probably to start a separate meeting would be a really good way to go about it.
Sure. Okay, I'll have Heather or myself reach out to you and so find three of you that would be willing to meet with them.
Yeah, I was gonna say if any of us
do it.
can commit that way.
Is OLICAP part of the HHC?
No.
No, okay.
Oh, are they? No, I don't think they get monies, do they?
So it could be wrong because I've stepped back from being involved with SHHC, the Sequim Health and Housing Collaborative, and earlier past, but OLICAP has been traditionally a longtime partner of that. And I am not aware of them not being a partner now. However, the warming center has predated the SHHC. And so that was never part of bringing that into the fold. And I'm looking to Mike to make sure that I am making more or less correct statements. Okay. All right. The instruction to me was to stop talking now and it will be perfect. So always listen to police officers and do what they say.
So it looks like two of you, Vicky and Rachel. Okay. And yeah, of course you'd be perfect, Dan, of course. Yes. Okay. Well, I'll start pursuing that and working with your schedules and setting that up.
And I'm open. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'm open to like a tour or just like a lunch meeting, whatever they can do. I want to work with their time also. So whatever they can do would be great.
Perfect. Thank you.
Do you have another part to that, Dan?
No, thank you.
Did you have something, Vicky?
Nope.
I did have something that I brought up during agenda. It's in reference to the last council meeting's work session in regards to Tim's comments. I don't know if anybody else received phone calls, but his comments on the 2114 House bill, I think it is, for the mobile home park rent stabilization. So I had a chat with DeVore in regards to it, and I was unaware that our legislative priorities on the backside were more of a to keep an eye on list and not something that he was down there advocating for. So, since I was unaware of that, I think I needed to bring it to council's attention to find out if A, we want to keep it that way, or B, give him directive on our policies. Do we want him to actually go down if it's, something that we can do legally to give him, say, hey, go down there and advocate on behalf of council that we say, yes, we want something like 2114 to pass? Or do we say, hey, just keep it, us apprised of it and we can do it ourselves? So I think it's something that we as council should at least have a discussion about.
I'll just jump right in and say, my understanding, I thought, was that any priorities we give is like, please advocate these for us.
That's what I thought too. But when we get those, like what Matt sent out from the board, that's it. And that's not on DeVore. That's not his fault, because we as council never gave him more specific directive to do anything but that, apparently.
Right.
Well, and Mayor, you're probably closer to it than I am, but seems like your priorities were like for housing or bigger than that, not bill specific, maybe? I don't know that, but he's open to, if you want more attention from him, to alert you when you need to, or it would be smart to make a comment online or in person. He could certainly do that for you, should you wish.
I mean, it's one thing we all, as individual counselors, as individual citizens, can always go on ourselves and vote yay, make comments on individual bills, but do we as a collective body want to, is the question. Do we want to, as a collective show for the community, for those that in the mobile home, take 2114 as an example, do we want as a collective body show our support for those people that are hurting, whether or not is 2114 the bill that will I would say every year something like that doesn't pass, they're hurting another year. But again, like I said, do we want to have a collective voice in it, or do we want to have an individual? That's, again, I think that's something that the council might want to decide on what we want to do.
I'm so sorry. Are we talking about Sequim or Senate House Bill 1217?
I think it's 21, whatever the rent stabilization.
Improving housing stability for tenants subject to the Residential Landlord Tenant Act and Manufactured Mobile Home Landlord Tenant Act by limiting rent and fee increases, requiring notice of rent and fee increases, limiting fees and deposits, establishing a landlord resource center and associated services, authorizing tenant lease termination, creating parity between lease types, and providing for attorney general enforcement. Kind of sounds like SHB 1217 or 55222 in the Senate.
That's the Senate one. Yeah, it could be any bill in general on any topic. Just to say, that's just the one that,
I just don't. Yeah, I don't see a 2114.
It might be a different bill number completely. That's just for some odd reason, that's the number I think that's in my head.
And
17.
There's different levels of support we can give. We can direct DeVore to talk to legislators and explain why this is important. When it has a hearing, we can have him sign in pro for the city of Sequim, or we can have testimony given and sign in pro, or you can either do written or oral testimony. So those are kind of the options for how to support things.
And I'm I haven't said a whole lot because I was thinking, like, yes, it would be great to give a general directive of advocate for everything rent stabilization or sign in pro for everything in the case of rent stabilization. But there's also sometimes there's like caveats written into the bills. And so it makes me very, very nervous to just give free rein. And so it would have to be like by individual bill.
And then an individual bill can get an amendment to it during any of those public hearings. So we'd have to make sure that he's watching that and telling us and understanding what and also I'm getting emails all day long from our citizens about supporting these bills. So I think we kind of know where they're at too.
Just to quickly looking, 2114 was how it was numbered in the 24 session. It's 2117, House Bill 2117 and 25 session.
1217, right?
Excuse me, 1217.
I was like, and I'm looking at the document that is just shared with us earlier today. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 legislative items, bills that are being considered that do affect mobile homes and rent stability and all sorts of housing issues. So yeah, I hear you about wanting to know exactly what we're signing in and what we're signing on for and what we're signing not on for. I think I'd have to do more research first. Because I'm fairly familiar with 1217 because people have been talking about it quite a bit, but I need to look at the other ones too.
I think it boils down to is, again, do we want to have DeVore down there, just keeping an eye on things and sending us a report, and then we can do our own thing and sign in, yay, nay, or do we want to take a collective stand? I think that's
also have a quick comment of our priority list that we sent to DeVore and our legislators specifically says on the back for our policy side, said rent stabilization for mobile home parks. And so just personally, it's not as varied as I would like, but it's good to start somewhere. And so I guess I feel time crunched. How long do we have? And then I'm also like when they say there's a hearing, and then if I don't get information in time to be able to sign in for it, or it's.
I mean, cutoff's coming for a first round of bills, so I mean, the avalanche of bills will subside a little bit, so we shouldn't know more. But I think I said it goes down to the idea of what do we want to do as a body? Do we want to act as a body? Do we want to act as individuals?
And 1217 had an executive session today, and I didn't see what happened. So then if it passed, then it'll go to the floor. And that's an opportunity to just reach out directly to legislators to vote directly yes for it. And then either it'll go to the Senate or the one from the Senate will come and they'll concur. I don't know where the Senate bill is. So we missed an opportunity really to do anything on that one.
I guess we could leave you with your thoughts, and maybe we can put it for.
I guess I feel like just because things move so fast, it would be cumbersome for us to try to meet, in twice a month, and try to come up to some consensus. Like I've already written in my comments on this, especially because reading the bill itself is really important because I had concerns. I like the intent, but sometimes the way they're written has unintended consequences. So I think just for efficiencies for us to be able to vote or write in the comment support is faster and more efficient if we do it ourselves. Just my 2 cents.
I think we also should decide, though, then, like I said, at least moving forward in the next session next year, do we want to make sure that we include specific directive to DeVore?
It would be too hard to include specific directive because things move too fast. And
I think we're running into the same problem, though, then again.
They can
we're just
change.
Gonna you know,
And if a bill changes or is amended and then we decide, oh, never mind, not that one. You know, so
So
Were you
what
gonna
we
say?
do
Yeah.
in other like commissions and boards I'm on is we make very specific priorities and lay them out about what we're supporting and why, and then ask the lobbyists to really pay
Follow that,
attention to
yeah.
those details and make sure that if we're signing in pro for a bill that it meets the priorities.
I see. Okay. So the one that
Maybe
we
next year. No.
Yeah, right? That's how I'm feeling about it. So for the ones, okay, I guess for context, the ones that we sent, would that meet that standard or is it not specific enough?
I think it would meet that standard.
Okay.
Unless, and we need to make sure what we want to do if there's an amendment, and he's smart, and I think he knows if there's an amendment that changes the intent of the bill.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
you got that, Harmony, for when you go down there?
Would you?
Yes.
Right. Well, I was gonna say, would you be able to send me or send council like I guess an example of how a commission has done it before, so there's like a framework and I have a better understanding of how others do it?
Sure, I can share some.
Thank you.
I think it's just important that we are able to show those in the community that look to us to advocate for them in Olympia.
And when we
Especially-
sign in as a city council, it has more weight than individual citizens. Sorry.
That's unfortunate. I mean, it's good, but it's not. Like everybody should be weighted equally, I think. Oh well.
Thank you for raising it, Brandon. I agree with you. I think it's, we need to be seen to be responsive to what we hear consistently about this issue.
But yeah, like I said, I'll leave us with our thoughts on that, so. Anything else? If not, it's that time of the, we got planning. Let's see. Planning Thursday, next Tuesday, February 18th at 2:00. Anybody like to attend? You available, Kelly, that day?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Yeah, I'll be upstairs on the second floor. All right, we have council retreat starting at 10 a.m. It'll be here, right? Right here. Starting at 10 a.m. And then they'll have an executive session starting at 5 o'clock and then regular scheduled at 6. Yep. Other than that, it's that time of the hour.
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, see everybody in a couple weeks. Have a good night.